Good evening, everybody. We're going to call the June 18th, 2025 Township of Ocean Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Chairwoman Beal, Vice Chairman Fuller, Mr. Ashkenazi.
Here.
Mr. DeGennaro.
Here.
Mr. DeLomo. Mr. Chamorro. Ms. Littman.
Here.
Mr. Puccielli.
Here.
Mr. Lineski. And Mr. Caramanico.
Here.
Okay, could we please rise for the salute to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The notice requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the notice having been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster and filed in the office of the Township Clerk. There is emergency through courtroom doors and 2 exits at the rear of the room. As always, there's no smoking in the building. No new cases will be started after 9 p.m. and no new testimony taken after 9:30 p.m. In addition, the applicant will be limited to 45 minutes of testimony. All meetings will be videoed and audio taped and shown on the Township of Ocean's Community Cable Channels, Channel 622 on Verizon Fios and Channel 77 on Cablevision. All cell phones must be turned off, or if you need to make a call, please make your call outside the meeting room. First, we have some resolutions to be memorialized. We can do them all at the same time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The first one is Julia Valente, 1405 Vina Avenue, Block 114, Lot 11 in the R6 zone. Alexander and Yale Port, 255 Perrine Ave, Block 9.02, Lot 1 in the R4 zone.
There's only 3 people that can vote. So, Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DeGennaro.
Yes.
And Mr. Caramanico.
Yes.
Okay, and before we get to old business, if anybody is here for the Wendy Purcell 1301 Woodlock Avenue Block D126 Lot 9 in the R4 zone, that is being carried to the July 17th meeting with no further notice. Meaning that you will not hear back. You will not get another letter in the mail stating that it's being moved to July 17th. So if anybody's here for that case, they can leave and we'll see you on July 17th. No. Okay. Moving on. Old business. We have Wayne G. and Anastasia Marcy, 1902 South Wanamassa Drive, Block 132, Lot 7 in the R5 zone. Please come on forward.
I'm sorry. 1504.
Am I going too fast?
No, Mr. Steinberg.
You circulate. So why don't we just add it to the agenda for approval?
What's that?
This was 1504 North Wanamassa. This was it wasn't a public hearing. It was an administrative determination where he had to knock down the first floor because
Yes.
when they took off the second floor, the building collapsed.
Yes.
So
So it was 1504.
give it,
Yeah, it's not on here. North Wanamassa.
so the board can vote on it. I think you've gotten copies of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, Mr. Ashkenazi.
Yes.
Mr. DeGennaro.
Yes.
And Mr. Caramanico.
Yes.
So passed. I don't know what to tell you.
That's fine. Just, I don't know if he's applied for a building permit or, but they were stopped. So I think you want to get this to them so they can continue. Thank you.
Okay. Ready? Mr. Marcy, welcome back.
Thank you.
Do we need to swear him in again?
No, he remains under oath.
The hearing remains on oath. Okay. Why don't you tell us
Okay.
what's happened since the last time we met?
Yes. Well, just to recap, in our last meeting, we were seeking a variance for our pool equipment location and for a couple zoning variations on our drainage. We've since agreed, in the last meeting that we would move the pool equipment, and you asked us to come back with a plan on what the drainage around the pool would look like, so that we could become more in compliance, and we brought Doug Clellan here today, our engineer, to go over the new plan.
Great. Can you? Do we need to swear him in?
Well, before I swear him in, you want to qualify?
Oh yeah, sorry. Can you tell us about your qualifications, certifications?
Absolutely, yeah. My name is Douglas Cleland. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I work for Insight Engineering as an associate. I've been there for the last 11 years, working on a variety of projects from single-family homes all the way up to larger commercial site plans. I did also have the pleasure of serving as the Planning and Zoning Board Engineer for the City of Asbury Park for a number of years. My license is in good standing, and that is about it.
Well, I think we
Are you a
will.
planner also?
I am not, just an
Okay.
engineer.
Okay, so you're just testifying as an engineer. Okay.
That's correct, yes.
We will accept your credentials, sir.
Thank you.
We gotta swear him in. Do you affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, proceed.
Jump right in. So, Wayne, the applicant, reached out to me not too long ago, brought me up to speed on the project. A brief history here, as everyone knows, the application was originally approved about a year ago by this board. As part of that original approval, we were proposing a 3-foot wide emergency walkway around the pool for safety, which was permitted to encroach into the side and rear setbacks. Because of the curved nature of the pool, the patio followed that same curve and was exactly 3 feet wide the whole way. During construction, the contractor made some changes. We were not consulted. It was related to drainage though, and the particular size, from speaking with the contractor since then, the particular size of the trench drain that was used, it did not support curvature like that around the edge of a patio. There are variations of the same drain that do, but the particular one that was installed does not. So their solution in the immediate was to run a straight patio along that edge of the pool, which left us with a walkway that was wider than 3 feet between the pool and side and rear property lines. So pool equipment was also installed in a non-compliant location on the side of the house, the eastern side. So we're here before you tonight with a new plan that provides mitigation for the as-built conditions. So first and foremost, we are proposing to relocate all of the pool equipment to a compliant location. That location is next to the existing accessory structure that meets all setback requirements. And second, we're proposing to remove portions of the patio between the pool and the side and rear setbacks as indicated on the plans that were submitted. So that particular trench drain, when trying to come up with a solution, we tried to work within that existing trench drain model. Unfortunately, it can't make precise curves around a pool, so it can do angles and multiples of 45 degrees though. So while providing, we wanted to provide a minimum 3 feet around the eastern end of the pool for safety. The angles create a patio width of just over 3 feet in a few locations, which then qualifies it to not be exempt from the setback. So it is a vastly improved.
6.87.
It is vastly improved from what was built, far more in line with what was originally approved by this board, with the limiting factor being that drainage system that was installed. So if this were to be approved, I will say that the drainage system will function as originally intended. Neighboring property would continue to be protected from adverse runoff impacts, and we would also agree to comply with your board engineer's recommendation of providing a small berm east of the outflow to further ensure that runoff is directed to the public right of way.
Okay. Mr. Malik, go ahead.
Yeah, so the only comment in my letter was or I guess revised letter, was based on the revised plan submitted as well as the township engineer's recommendation. He wrote a letter dated June 4th talking about the berm that was just mentioned to alleviate some stormwater overflow that was spilling onto the neighbor's yard. So that will take care of that issue, and then it's just up to the board to grant relief for the setback of the patio. As it was discussed, and we talked about this at the last meeting, the pool is kind of a kidney shape, a curved shape. So squaring off the patio, even if they keep it at 3 feet wide in the smallest section, not following the contour of the pool results in the patio being wider than 3 feet in some sections.
And you'll want to see revised plans showing the berm?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Higgins?
Just so the board is aware, there's 2 prongs of the test for variance. The first is there a positive reason for the granting of variance, a planning reason? And one is hardship, and that hardship has to deal with the size and shape of the site, and clearly there's no hardship here. So you have to go to the C2 criteria where there are benefits from a planning and zoning standpoint that would give positive reasons for the granting of the variance. And we would need some sort of a testimony about that, why, why what they're doing is a benefit. They either advance one of the purposes of the municipal land use law or be some other item that might make it a better planning alternative than compliance. And the fact that they had a compliant plan to begin with and did certain things that made that plan impractical. I have a problem with the positive reason aspects of this application. The other aspect is the negative impact. And in terms of the variances, they're minimal. Do you know the square footage of the areas that are non-compliant?
Yeah, I don't have the exact number. I'd say it's on the order of about 10 square feet.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, so there's probably, in terms of the variance itself, no substantial negative impact. Now, I understand that there's issues with regard to drainage and impact on the adjacent property. And that could be a factor that the board could take into account.
Okay. Mr. Marcy, any response to Mr. Higgins?
I think you gave it to us last month. Jim wasn't here, but there was some indication of why they went that way with the drainage system that they provided, which is over and above that which was required. Something to that effect. I mean, you can repeat that if you recall.
I would just say that when we put the initial plan in for the pool, we didn't have a drainage system. Okay, when we came in place for the variance for the shed that was bigger than what was compliant, Doug realized that, hey, look, we really should put drainage around the pool, and so we agreed to put the drainage around the pool. It certainly was a substantial cost, not just on the engineering side, but the actual build side, to put what they put in place. Prior to having the drainage, we had a nice curved patio that was 3 feet in compliance to what Doug said, and I even shared pictures last time what it looked like before we had to put the drainage in. But once the contractor went to implement the drainage, he went with what he went with, and that's what we're left with. We don't have a curved option at this point.
Was the drainage part of the resolution, the first resolution? Do we know?
The drainage was, the drain that they installed was part of the original approval, just in a different configuration.
Understood. Yeah. Okay. How many? I know you said 10 square feet, and it looks like it's just a small section that's 6.87 feet away. What's the linear footage of that frontage? That borders 6.87 feet.
Yeah. So
is it like 5 feet? I mean, I see it. I just without a scale.
Yeah, the areas we're talking about. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. It's just gonna go back to the.
I'm gonna grab my scale really quick too. So the areas that still encroach, you can see there's several 3-foot dimensions here around this curved radius. We wanted to maintain 3 foot for safety, but going at that angle, you could see there's, maybe half a square foot to 1 square foot encroachment at either angle there, and that small encroachment causes basically the whole thing to not be compliant. So,
Understood. Yeah, okay.
yeah, linear footage wise, this portion of the patio is set back to the 10 feet until it gets to the pool, and then it makes 2 angles that the trench drain can do to go around the pool, and that whole run is about 55 square feet there.
Okay. Any other
Linear feet, sorry.
linear feet?
What was 10 square feet?
These linear feet.
55 linear feet, 10 square feet. One's an area, one's a length. Yeah.
10 square feet is not compliant, but he just talked about 55 feet.
Linear feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he asked for the length of the patio that.
Wasn't good at math. It's okay.
Sorry.
You're an engineer guy.
Yeah, sorry. Any questions from the board? Okay. Any questions from the public for either? No?
I just wanted to talk about the water intrusion that I'm experiencing.
So that's a comment. Do you have any questions for? Okay. Any other questions from our experts? Okay. Guess we're comments from the public. You come on up. And she was sworn in last time too, so we're
Yes, you remain under oath. Your
Okay.
Name again and address?
full name and
Susan
address.
Menichelli. I'm at 1900 South Wanamassa.
Go ahead, Ms. Metichelli.
So since we've been getting a lot of rain, I've been able to observe what's going on, and I'm getting water intrusion along the whole property line. There are pebbles and erosion coming from the stone path, and then the whole back corner, I guess it's a block curb, is coming apart, and all those pebbles are going into my yard as well. So not only from the front, now I'm experiencing it along the whole line. And I have some photos if you'd like to see them.
You can mark those.
And the water is something new?
What do we have?
There's,
Well, since it's
they're
been
like
raining a lot,
it's like a little packet.
I've seen it more than before. Yes, it's new.
It's like 10 little packets.
That's what I'm saying. There's 10 packets.
Yeah,
They're
oh, yeah,
yeah,
10
they're
packets
10
of these
packets.
things.
Why don't we label one packet 01, Night State, and these were all taken by you?
Yes, in the last week,
Okay.
since the rain of last weekend into this
You
week.
personally took the picture?
Yes.
And printed it.
Thank you. Okay.
So I'm opposed to the variance. I feel that we need all the ground that we can get to absorb the water. I think because they probably leveled their yard and it's up higher, I'm getting all the water coming to me. Also, I want to mention that in the original plan, there was no water feature. So I don't know where the water feature came in, but this water feature is taking up space that could be used for the 3-foot walkway around the pool. So now you have a water feature and you have to go further into the setback because of that. So I don't see why the neighbors not following the plan should become a burden to me. And that's what it's becoming.
Can you
Yep.
show, if you're familiar with drawings, can you show us on the drawing where these fence line is, where these pictures?
Yeah,
are
so
taken?
the first picture is here in the back.
Okay, so that's from your property, which is on the right-hand side of your finger pointing underneath the fence.
My property's
Yeah,
over
that's-
here.
Right, okay,
And this is, the fence is here.
yep,
So it's the back corner going all the way to where their gate ends, which is up here. So all these pebbles and everything are what you're seeing in the pictures coming from the stone path up to the gate. And then you can see where the gate ends and there's grass, everything's fine. So obviously it's being caused by the improvements to their backyard, which are detrimental to my yard.
So if I could just comment on the stones and the pebble, those could be coming through. So the fence is on my property line. My property line actually extends beyond the fence. They could be coming through because there's no, like some kind of wood border to hold the stones in. And if the neighbor had come to me to talk to me about that, it's something we could have put in to alleviate that. Whether water coming off of that is occurring, we have the drains, right, to alleviate that. And where the red stone is, that's not even where the pool is. That's further up more where the pool equipment itself is. So,
Yeah, I think that we have to also look at the installation, because where that stone path is supposed to be, landscape fabric and stone. There's concrete underneath part of it. I think a lot of this is in the installation being poor. But again, why should I be burdened with the hardship of this? And, especially the water feature. Now you're adding more. They had a variance to have the 3-foot walkway around the pool, and had they followed the plan, nobody would be in a bad position that we're in.
Can you explain what, I guess I don't understand. The drawings don't identify a stone pathway between the edge of the pool and the fence. Can you show us
It's this.
that's all stone there?
It's stone and stepping stone. So it's crushed red pebbles and stepping stones.
So on the east side of the house, where the pool equipment and the air conditioning equipment is, we're moving the pool equipment. There's crushed red stone there, along with some stepping stones to walk across it.
All the way to the back?
All the way to the patio itself.
Just to the patio. So it's a small section is what you're saying? It's not all the way to the...
Can I ask you a question? I'm
Yes.
sorry, I
Oh.
forgot your name, excuse me.
Susan
Susan, or Mrs., what is your
I
last
think-
name?
no,
Menichelli.
I don't have my packet from last
Menichelli.
Mrs. Manichelli.
This picture.
So you indicated that the problem with the water runoff is along the entire side?
The entire fence line.
Was
So-
was that occurring, do you know, before your neighbor regraded the property, or was that as a result of?
As a result of. I have a hydrangea in the back there, which has now sunk down because so much water
No.
is going in that back corner.
Oh, we'll see through it.
Okay, that's a problem.
It is a big problem. It's very upsetting. I bought this house to retire in, and I don't want to deal with this for the rest of my life.
From the neighbor, is there an ordinance or something about that?
I just would like to say that if
Excuse me, in one moment, I just want
I
to,
mean, that was the intent of the trench drain going around the patio, was to capture the runoff and not let it run off to the neighbor's property.
So the drain's not there yet.
So
the drain is there.
The
drain
drain
is
was
there.
The drain
installed.
is
but
The
it's
drain
still
is
happening.
is here.
If the drain is there and that's still happening,
Right.
I'm not an
I'm
engineer.
sorry, what do you mean, like,
I'm not an engineer. We installed a drain. It runs around the patio itself.
right, but for you, your response to be like, this is
I'm not-
indicative of I don't care, and that's rude.
It's not that I don't care. First of all, I'm not aware of it prior to tonight. My neighbor never brought this to my attention. Secondly, what we could potentially do if
Never
we'd
told
heard
him?
about this. No.
The reason I didn't tell him is because I told him about the pool equipment being loud before the last meeting, and he came up here and told the board that it wasn't loud at all, and he thinks it's quiet. When I told him already that I could hear it in my house.
Okay, but you
So-
didn't share this with him, the stones you just.
No, I did not over the past
Right.
month.
Okay.
And I know my neighbor had called the town engineer also about, potentially, putting in a berm, and Doug is, put that into the plan. This is the first time we're hearing about this. Yeah.
If I could chime in for a second. And this is just an independent observation here. I obviously was not aware of this either. But looking at the size of this gravel, you know, my engineer mind, it would take it would take a whole lot of fast moving water to make these stones move. So it's telling me that it either happened at the time of installation, or slowly they started migrating as people are walking on them.
The water's a pretty powerful force, and the rains we've been having are incredibly powerful. I know what it's doing for my
Understood.
home. So
Understood.
it is a viable possibility that these are a result of current rain and being washed out from his
And you can see the mud where the rains go.
Yeah, I do think a proper border installed along that fence line would fix the issue.
But would it fix the water?
So, this is something
It won't, I agree, it would fix the rocks if he
Yeah.
put some kind of barrier, but that doesn't address the water runoff problem. His water runoff can't go onto her property.
Do we know how much? I mean, it looks like the adjacent property is about 1.5 feet grade wise up from one property to the next, according to the grading plan. I mean, what was the existing grade that was there? Did they raise the grade up? Do you know? Or do you potentially know?
I
mean,
apologize because I don't have the plan. in
I
front
know,
of me.
right? We don't have the existing plans to show it, or the old
But
plans.
yeah, I mean, if that's the case, if the plan was previously approved
Right, I know.
with the perimeter drain to capture runoff from the patio. Any just grass on the outside was previously grass.
But did they raise that grade up? So there now there's a block curb
Why would
all the way around the property line, and the property is flat. So my question is, was it always flat, or was it pitched, or was it higher, and did they change the grade
just
in construction of the property that is now affecting the drainage?
So if I could offer something, I think we could fix the problem. The stones have obviously migrated, and there's no denying that. I think a proper border would contain the stones permanently, and
Correct.
then you're left with, what do you do with
Water.
the water? We have a drainage pipe right there that we could easily throw a couple yard inlets in to capture that water and make sure it gets out to the right of way. I think that would solve the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I think that's a viable solution.
that's a fair solution.
And my question is where were the berms that have to be, your letter, Ben,
The berm that-
talks about the berms, but I don't see, obviously because we don't have revised plans, where would the berms be
It's never gonna
installed?
work.
the
Because
berm
even if you
that
raise the grade
I-
up, it's just a steep
correct me if I'm
drop
wrong
to
there,
her
but the
property,
berm
so
would be
the
in the
water's
front of
just
the
gonna go
property.
down into
There
the
would be
soil and
overflow
out.
grade
So
water.
his
Okay.
That was
his
where
to
that
go
issue
in
stemmed
towards
from.
his and
Okay.
we're gonna come
Water was coming out the overflow grade.
Because the water will go into the soil.
Sideways to the
Oh,
neighbor's
so got it.
property instead of towards the street.
I just want to make sure I was clear where it was going. Thank you.
If this is the ground, that's his pool,
And the
this is
second
their grade,
proposal
there's this space, this water's gonna go
Yard
there.
inlets, you got that one?
Understand.
Yeah,
It's not gonna go
the
this way
second
because it
one
can't go
is
through the
the,
pool.
Right.
Yard inlets and
That's
some
the
sort of
core
type of
issue,
barrier
why
to keep
allow-
the stone on the
So
property.
they're gonna install
So
it,
why
Yes,
allow
install
more of a,
and a barrier.
bit to be
But if you put in yard inlets, like he said, to
It's
collect the
stone and
water,
debris, right?
down at
that'll solve it. I mean, it's as best as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
It's probably better than what they had originally, is if we put in yard inlets.
Doing this up. Also, that drainage plan is presented to you final.
Okay.
Okay, I just have one comment that I'd like to make. As far as I know, a variance is supposed to be because of either a hardship or greater good to the community, neither of which these apply. The hardship was created by them, and they're having a negative impact on my property, so how is that doing the greater good to the community?
I still think you're gonna have that same problem if he went back and put it back the way it was. You're still gonna have the same water problem.
Well, I don't want a water problem, and I really don't think it's fair to give someone a variance when they submitted a plan and did something totally different than the plan.
I mean,
It's not right.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. However, I think he's trying to even improve the situation above and beyond what you had previously by putting in these yard inlets.
Well, I have not seen any improvement, and likewise, they're saying you didn't come to me, but did anybody come to me over the last month and say, what are you experiencing? Can we help? Can we work this out?
Agreed?
Instead I get dirty looks, and this is just unacceptable to me.
aware of how he's, since this is already in place, attempting to remove a part of this that's there to rectify the situation? And because you said, why allow the variance and to take away the, more ground to absorb the water? He's putting back ground to absorb the water.
It's a 1% though, if you look at the statistics on the plans. It only changed by 1%. So to me, it's not enough. That whole back corner, even on the rear and the side, it's not enough.
He also, I mean, he could have came here without originally and not put any drainage around his sidewalk whatsoever and had a 3-foot setback curved all the way around and not have put any drainage in. And
Well-
he could still do that. He could do that today if he wanted
Okay,
to.
well, I mean, that's something I'd have to deal with when the time came, but I'm dealing with the situation at hand right now.
But if we say, I'm just saying, if we say no to this, that's what he's going to be forced to do. And it's probably going to be a worse situation than what you have now because he'll have absolutely no drainage whatsoever. He won't have the drain around the sidewalk and he won't have these yard inlets.
But what's happening is I'm still getting runoff. The drain isn't catching all the water.
You will likely get less. If you allow this solution to take place, it will likely help, because the alternative is it will be worse. That's
Well, again, then we'd have to deal with that. I don't see how
So you're gonna
my
have to
neighbor
deal
putting
with
in
it
a
either
pool
way, is the
should
problem.
affect me negatively.
You'll have to manage it either way. So let us help you hopefully manage it, have less of an impact.
It's a better option
Yes,
for him to
what
put the
would-
drainage in, it really will. Because if he goes back to the 3 feet, you're gonna get all that water runoff anyway. It's still compliant with the town. Not much else you can do. He's making an effort. I can see he's making an effort. He's putting the trench drains in. He'll put the inlets in.
Okay.
He's making an effort to try to improve the situation.
Okay, I think we've heard your concerns.
The final
Obviously.
plan will be subject to our engineers.
Yeah, it's subject to the engineer's approval. Correct. With the yard inlets and the berm is still going to go in.
That's a different place. Yes.
Good place. Any other comments from the public? Okay, motion to close public comments.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of closing the public?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody want to move for resolution
I'll go positive resolution.
based off positive with?
Positive resolution with the conditions.
With the berm's got to be in there.
Yep, the yard inlets.
I'm sorry, the yard inlets, yes.
The conditions that I have is that the berm, which is in the front of the property near the outflow grate, per the engineer, okay? And he's got to install yard inlets and a barrier to keep stone and debris from leaving the site. All of those plans are subject to our board engineer's approval before they sign off. Anything else? I wrote.
No, that was all.
That covers it. Here's the yard inlet.
So I'll second the positive resolution.
I mean, there's no,
That was me.
Mr. Puccielli.
before you vote, you could get the plans in before you vote. But it's not gonna help though, because it's gotta be enacted before we know the results, I guess.
Yeah, and Mr. Matlack's ultimately, that's why he's here. He's the expert, right?
All right, just, because we're not talking, they're using the pool, so it's not gonna slow things down.
That's a valid point.
They're not using it.
What- Yeah, well, tell them not to.
By law,
All right, you vote, I'm just a suggestion.
I'm okay
Maybe not.
with leaving it up to Mr. Matlack. So, agreed. Everybody? Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Ashkenazi?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenaro?
yes.
Ms. Littman?
I don't think I can
You
vote.
said
I wasn't
I
here
was
last
gonna
time.
vote
Oh.
I was just asking
Yes,
a
you're
litany
right.
of questions.
And I guess Mr. Caramanica.
Yes.
You were here last
Mr.
week.
Mr.
Puccielli.
Puccielli.
Yes.
You're first. You're first, so. I'm missing someone.
I'm gonna put this over.
Fine. Three would work.
Thank you, Mr. Marcy.
Very much.
Okay. You'll work with Ben on submitting, Mr.
Absolutely.
Matlack submitting plans. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
gotta find my agenda in here. Okay, here we go. Okay, our next case. 144 Monmouth Road, LLC. 144 Monmouth Road, block 25.25, lot 33 in the R4 zone. Our attorney is Christopher K. I'm gonna butcher this. Kautsuris. Applicant is seeking permission to construct a dormer to raise the slope roof on the second story facing the rear yard. Minimum single yard setback is 10 feet, where the existing setback to the dwelling is 6.8 feet. The proposed setback to one side of the dormer is vertical extension of the existing setback and does not reduce it. Minimum both side yards combined setback is 25 feet, where the existing combined setback is 17 feet, and the proposed combined setback is also 17 feet. I gotta do it again. Mr. Kautsuris.
Christopher Koutsource.
Koutsoris.
How are you, sir?
Good. How are you today? Do you want to do your letters?
I'll just summarize my report.
Sure.
I don't have any problem with this application.
Okay.
Basically, going vertically up with a couple of dormers and a little extension of the roof vertically. And it's an undersized lot, there's a clear hardship, so I have no problem.
Footprint's not changing. The footprint's not changing.
Yeah, the footprint's staying the same.
Staying the same, staying straight.
Okay. Mr. Matlack?
There are no site improvements, so I don't have any engineering.
You're 2 for 2.
But he said also.
Up to you.
Yep, so, Mr. Chairman, good evening. My name is Christopher Koutsource from the KG Law Group. I'm on behalf of the applicant, 144 Monmouth Road, LLC. I have Mr. Michael Mizrahi, who's an agent of the applicant of the LLC. And he can assist me through this if you'd like to have him affirmed.
Yes, please.
Why don't you stand up and
Can you do it right hand? You firm, tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
We're here advancing both of the prongs of the bulk variance statute. Number one, this property, and we'll lay this out through some brief testimony, but this lot is exceptional, and that's attested to in the letter from the planner. If strict adherence to the municipal ordinance were adhered to, this already somewhat narrow structure would be reduced to 30 feet wide. We'd have folks living in a 30-foot wide lot, which is very deep. I mean, if you permit a structure to be placed on its side, we'd have a very long structure, but we usually don't do that. So this is an exceptional piece of property. It's exceptionally narrow, but it's very deep, 159 feet deep. But it's,
As I said, it's a clear hardship,
Clear hardship.
and there is no substantial detriment to the granting of the variances. I don't know how much testimony the applicant's attorney wants to put on, or how much the board wants to hear, but it's a very clear-cut case.
It's a very clear-cut case. The only thing I would note is all that we came before the town for was to construct this dormer so that folks didn't have to bend down when they were living in that space, that half-story upstairs. And you know, giving people a safe place to live, that is an advancement of the municipal land use law, one of those 15 criteria. My fans are telling me to stop. So since there's really no objection from any of the experts in the and I have the audience participation buzzer going high, if you have any questions for me or the applicant's agent, if not, I submit to the board.
We're matching the siding and all new roof. What are we doing?
Yeah, so this was fire damage. It was a fire damaged piece of property. They had to come in and basically renovate everything. So it's all going to be matched. It's going to look beautiful. It already looks beautiful. It's going to be almost identical to the property that's exactly next door, which, by the way, has the dormer already. So it's going to look like the properties around it.
It keeps getting better and better.
It's getting better and better. And it can be yours for the low, low price.
Any questions from the board? No. Any questions from the public? Any comments from the public? Can we move to close the public?
Move to close.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Would anybody like to offer, please?
I for positive resolution.
I'll second. That's my job tonight. You should second everything.
Alright, ready? Mr. Ashkenazi?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenaro?
Yes.
Ms. Lippman?
Yes.
Mr. Pugiali?
Yes.
Mr. Caramanica?
Yes.
Congratulations.
If you need anything, you know where to find me.
You almost set a record. Almost.
Come on. You can set a record too.
Yeah. Next case, 220 Chatham Ave LLC, 220 Chatham Ave, block 25.13, lot 8 in the R4 zone. Ms. Krimko is back in front of us. Applicant is seeking permission to continue construction of a second-story addition. Minimum front yard setback required is 30 feet, where the existing 22 feet of the proposed setback to the second floor addition is 22 feet. The minimum single yard setback is 10 foot, where the existing setback to the first floor is 1.7 feet and the proposed to the second floor is 1.7 feet. The minimum both side yards combined setback required is 25, whereas the existing is 14.5 and the proposed combined setback to the second floor addition, including the existing first story section of the house that is not being vertically extended, is also 14.5 feet.
Thank you,
Ms.
Mr.
Krimko.
Chair. Jennifer Krimko on behalf of the applicant. And just by way of very brief summary, we have a severely undersized lot with an existing 1.5-story house on it. While it says we're doing a second-story addition, I believe that was how it was written on the plans, but I've confirmed with Jim, and under your ordinance, based on the roof shape existing and proposed, it was a 1.5-story house, and it's proposed as a 1.5-story house. So essentially what happened was they were repairing the roof, and in the process realized there wasn't a whole lot of ceiling height on the second floor, so they raised the roof, not realizing that they had to come for zoning approval in order to do that. So it is under construction, and this is very simply a non-conforming structure where we're raising the eave around the house 6 feet.
So that the people inside don't have to
Correct.
walk around ducked over.
Correct.
Safety situation.
Correct, and I will also I do have a dog and pony show with me, and as my advice I gave to the counselor, I'll only present as needed, but I'll let you know who's here and what we plan to present.
Okay.
In the first instance, I have the project engineer who prepared the plan, and just a few clarifications. The garage is on the property line. I did find the original subdivision map from, might have been the 70s or 80s, where an easement was granted. I will put into the record, because I promised I would, the adjacent property owner reached out to the board and copied me, because he also is a client, to explain that there is an issue with regard to runoff from the garage, and the garage is in a dilapidated state. He was hoping we would remove it because it was encroaching on his property line. When I advised him that we do have an easement, and he informed me that his mother granted that easement because it's a family property, he asked if we could at least put gutter guards on there to keep any water from going in to fix it up, and I put in writing to Colleen that yes, we would agree to that. So he's not here because I did commit that we would do that. We're not exacerbating any nonconformities, and as the exacerbating meaning making it worse, we are vertically exacerbating it. But we're not creating any new setback variances that don't exist today. As you know, and I bought my first house in that neighborhood, so I know it's a lot of 40 and 50-foot lots where the houses are pushed over to one side in an effort to allow a driveway to come back for parking. We can't fix it. It's a hardship. The overall height of the structure, when done, is only 22.5 feet, where 35 feet is required. So, again, I have the site engineer, I have the architect, and I have a professional planner that would just go through everything that I just basically told you. So, I know Jim had no objection to it,
No objection to it.
so I'll defer to the board if you'd like more of a presentation, or if we can rely on Jim's planning recommendations.
I also have no objection to it.
Plus, I had a tough week.
You and
Get
me
a
both.
free pass too, apparently.
Oh, let me just read real quick. HVAC related condensers
Yeah, so
on the site.
what we did was they exist, and we added them and showed a new one, and we will submit revised plans showing that
Okay.
they will conform, and they do not they do not create a coverage situation. So we would agree to submit plans showing that, as well as noting that the garage will be renovated, and we'll add the gutter guards pursuant to your engineer.
Okay.
We usually give a indication that if the garage is ever removed or destroyed, it has to be relocated.
Of course, because you're not giving us a variance for it.
Yeah, well, it's existing, we don't have to give you.
No. What I'm saying is, if you don't give us a variance for it, then if it's destroyed by 50% or more, we're not entitled to build it back.
Yeah, it has to be conforming.
Right. Agreed.
Okay. Does the board have
You
any?
said gutter guards. Do you mean gutters and leaders?
Gutters and something to protect it from overflowing.
I think I was copied on these emails as well. I think the issue is that the gutters are full of leaves and not functioning properly, so water just spills off the roof onto the yard or whatever's back there.
Okay, got it. That's why I
And
said gutter guards.
the gutter guards will help keep the leaves out.
So yes, I mean gutter guards.
Does anybody on the board have any reason to speak to any of the expert witnesses that Ms. Krimko has with her here tonight? Okay. All dressed up for no reason.
Listen, we're ready, and you don't know if there's going to be a neighbor that's going to have
Agreed.
an issue, so we need to be ready.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? No? More comments? Any comments from the public?
No. That's my client.
Motion to close the public hearing.
A motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Anybody want to move for resolution, please
I'll
offer?
move for positive resolution.
I'll second. I'll beat you to it.
That's my job.
Sorry, I had to do it tonight.
So much more.
Yes.
Mr. Pizzaro?
Yes.
Ms. Littman?
Yes.
Mr. Puglielli?
Yes.
Mr. Zermatt?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Say thank you for kosher.
Yeah, I fixed that. So, may I just say what I was going to say to her? If you denied them, I could be on the record. If you denied them, you'd have no jurisdiction, and the only way she'd get drainage is if she spent $30,000 to hire an engineer and sue him.
That's what I said. Yeah.
So take the extra 10 square feet and get protected by the board.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying
And then
to
they
explain.
started yelling at each other out there, and I said, stop. I said, this
Really?
helps nothing.
Good, thank you.
I can tell that.
Okay, motion to close the meeting.
So, I'll
In
second.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Dan, you'll be at the pool party. Neighbor will.